So, this time from Greece again, after hiking the Corfu island, which I liked and didn't like at the same time. I was really looking forward for something sunny this year after the trails which weren't that fulfilling for me. So I went to Crete to hike part of the famous E4 route, the trail. So the Crete is actually the biggest Greek island, and it's very, very south. It's the southernmost point of Europe, actually. Not the Crete itself, but the Gavdos island, but I will get to it later on. And it's just 300 kilometers from Libya and Turkey. So it's very close to Africa. The weather is this nice most of the year, and that was something what I was looking for. Last year I made the Corfu trail, but I had mixed feelings from those, and then I hiked the Fisherman's Trail in the south of Portugal, and I loved that. And based on the internet, what people say, the route which is going through Crete is very similar to the Fisherman's Trail. It's about cliffs and beaches, which is what I like, and that's what I expected. But I was sort of wrong. I miscalculated that, and it was a bit different. But again, I will get to it later on. So the Crete is actually a very big island. It has 2 airports, and it has basically everything what you can want. It has mountains which are under the snow during the winter. It has many forests in the middle, basically the middle of the island. North is very touristic and very touristic popular, so there are many people, resorts and all those things. But on the other hand, on the south, this is very different because they are just smaller villages, and the trail is sort of empty. Sorry. Sorry again. And I wanted that after Dolomites and Madeira and Tenerife, which were super crowded. And this was true actually, because on the south of the island you are walking most of the time alone, and you meet people only in those villages or very, very small towns. And I like this. I liked lonely trails, and I like to be alone. I actually haven't met a single hiker in Crete, which was great. But there are people actually in those towns and villages, and very, very friendly and very nice, very kind people and generous. And I like this a lot about Greece and about Greek people. And my plan was to walk from Kissamos, which is a very nice name actually, to the south through inland, because the original E4 is going around the west border on the road for like 40-50 kilometers straight on the road. So I made my own trail, and I went through the inland, through forests and hills, and connected to the E4 trail on the south. And then I was continuing all the way south by those cliffs. My plan, and follow the E4 trail, the official one, just with one big detour, and that was Samaria Gorge, which is the largest gorge in Europe actually. Very nice place, very big gorge with 500 meters big cliffs, and you are walking between them. I didn't make it, this gorge. I will get back to it later, but I walked by the coast all the time. And unfortunately, the second day when I woke up, I was sleeping on the hill, because people say there are many mosquitoes here, so I wanted to avoid those, and I was sleeping on the ridge. And in the morning, my sleeping mat flew away, and I panicked, and I started to run after it, and slipped and fell on my right hand, right palm, and I badly injured 3 of my fingers. It's already more than 1 week after that fall, and I can't still, I have no grip in those. It's swollen very hard. I think actually it's more and more swollen. So I injured myself badly. Fortunately, those 2 fingers, point finger and thumb, they are fine, they are okay. So I could work, I could open the sleeping bag and do those basic things, put the backpack on myself. I could do, but I couldn't do one important thing for me, and that's holding the selfie stick with the camera. It's just impossible. I don't have enough grip. It hurts like hell, and I can't do it. I tried a few times, and I just couldn't. So all the shots I took were with my left hand, which is clumsy because you are not used to do these things with left hand. So it's not that good. The shots are not that good. But most importantly, I couldn't extend the selfie stick fully for those 3 meters, because my left hand is not so strong to hold it fully extended. So yeah, the movie is not in my standards. Actually, usually I have 5+ hours of shots, and now I have like 1 hour and something. So yeah, the movie is not in my standards, but it was still very personal for me. So it's a different kind of story that I'm usually doing. It's less documentary and much more personal. But that was my purpose here. That's what I wanted to do, and that was the goal actually. The whole hike and the documentary is a second. It's not the primary thing. So when you want to come to Crete to start this hike, or if you want even to start the whole 500 kilometers long E4 hike, you have to come to one of 2 airports. To the 2 airports, one is in Kania and another one is in Hadia, and another one is in Heraklion. And from there you have to take at least 2 buses to the start to Kisamos, and from there you can walk. I was walking down there, and then I took a ferry in the end, because it wasn't 200 kilometers how I expected. I skipped that Samarian Gorge, and I took a ferry to Gavdos, the teeny tiny island where just a few dozen people are living, and that's where I am now. And this is completely different thing, and I will talk about it later. So about that Samaria Gorge, that's the place where everyone who is heading to Crete should go, because it's very unique place. It's the biggest gorge in Europe. It's 16 kilometers long. You have to have a permit for that and pay for tickets, because it's opened only from, I think, 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. So you can make it all the way down there or up there. It depends which side you start. And it's very unique place, because you are walking between 500 meters big rocks, and sometimes the path is only 3 meters wide, and then they are those huge rocks. So I was really looking for it, and most people who are coming to Crete are going there. But I wanted to go from the top, which is over 2,000 meters of elevation gain, and I didn't feel good with my hand. I actually still don't know if at least the ring finger is not broken, because I can't move it at all. So maybe it's broken. I have to go to an X-ray after coming home, but I just couldn't do these things. And also one local told me that 2 days before I wanted to go there, there was a big rockfall which killed an Ukrainian girl. So now it's just those days when I wanted to go were very risky, because I guess they wanted to secure those rocks and check if it's safe. I don't know. In the end, I weren't there. Instead, I spent 2 days in one village, coastal village. I was just chilling on the beach and eating local food, and that was really, really nice. And then I took a ferry to Gavdos. So, sort of that Cretan part of the trail, I was slightly disappointed because I expected something similar, like a fisherman's trail, but it's not at all. It seems from maps or from reviews of other people, it seems that it's very chilling road, and you are going by the coast and those cliffs, and you swim on the beaches and everything. But the reality is that it's all the time up and down. So it's very demanding. There is a lot of elevation gain and a lot of elevation loss, which is by itself not that bad. But in this weather, when there is 30 degrees outside, it's actually the end of the September. So it's not the season and it's not the full summer, but still it was around 30 degrees. And there is no shade at all on some parts of the trail. Sometimes 10 kilometers there is no shade. And when you are climbing the steep cliff on narrow path, and the sun is going straight on you, and you can't hide anywhere, you can't stop, because when you stop you feel even more heat. So it was very, very demanding and very tiring, and I expected that it will be like fisherman's trail, which was super easy. It was like a breeze. I walked 230 kilometers or something like that with basically no effort. That was very different, and I expected something else, something like that here, but no. This is demanding, and it was very similar actually to Mallorca, which someone mentions. This is very similar as a western part of Mallorca, those cliffs and beaches and those elevations up and down. So that was very, very similar to me. But also it means that it was the same demanding and the same exhausting as the Mallorca trail, which I made actually exactly 1 year ago. My own trail, it wasn't the GR221, what most people hike. So it was unexpectedly difficult for me, or tiring, not difficult. There are no difficult sections, anything like that. But then I moved to Gavdos. That's a teeny tiny island which is like 7-8 kilometers in perimeter. It's a very small island. And I planned for myself to hike all around the island, which is less than 40 kilometers, just to walk around the cliffs. And from the port all the way around back to the port. And the day I came to Gavdos, I was absolutely blown away how beautiful this little island is. This is so forgotten and so beautiful place that I was blown away every minute. Actually, several times during the hike around Gavdos, I was crying because it was so heartwarming experience here. They are so beautiful places, so beautiful views. Most of the trails are, not in most maps. They are forgotten. You are walking alone. There is very little civilization here. They are like few dozens of people living here. There is just somebody walking, and plus maybe a few dozens, maybe 100, 200 tourists, maybe 100, I don't know. I met very few people. The first day on the west coast, I passed only one civilization and met maybe 5 or 10 people. This is so beautiful place. And all the people here are extremely kind, extremely generous, and warming and nice, that I just love it here, to be here like nowhere else. For me, the nicest place I've ever visited was Minorca, the trail around the island, which is basically Gavdos but 10 times bigger, with much more civilization. That was my favorite hike 2 years ago. And this is very similar to that. This is like you take Minorca and you shrink it to 10% of the size. And the result is Gavdos. They are around the whole island. They are maybe, I don't know, 5 restaurants. Far, like those are, there is no village, no town, nothing like that. They are just few places where they are houses, where there is electricity and water. I don't know how many, maybe really 5. The dock and few others. And you are just alone most of the time, and you feel alone, and it's the feeling that you are with just few people here. And you basically can walk from beach to beach. Some of those beaches are very remote and it's not easy to get there. You have to go 200 meters of elevation down to get there. And on most of the beaches on the north and west and west, there is nobody. There is nobody. Those beaches are just for you. You can walk. I don't know how is it during the season, because now it's 1 month after the season, but I was walking by most of the beaches with crystal clear water. Some were sandy beaches, some were stony beaches, but the water was always crystal clear. I was just walking there alone, and they were all for me. So I was basically swimming every, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours on a different beach. And this experience, I don't know if you can get something like this anywhere else in Europe. So I hiked around the Gavdos. You can make, if you are fast, you can make it in 1 day, because it's less than 40 kilometers. But I was here I'm here the 3rd day now, and tomorrow I'm leaving, so like 3.5 days. And I was on purpose walking very slowly, just, I don't know, 10 kilometers per day, and stopping by everywhere in those nice views. And on these trails, sometimes you have benches, wooden benches. On those views, there are some very nice cliff views. There is a lighthouse here, a very old one. I think it's the highest lighthouse in Europe, actually. On Fisherman's Trail, there is the most southwestern point of Europe, but here is the most southern point of Europe. And there is a big chair, and you are at the edge of Europe. There is a Libyan Sea here, and it's in 200 kilometers there is Libya already. So you are basically closer to Africa than to Europe. And that means the weather, the beautiful weather. It's raining very rarely here. The sea is very warm. I was surprised how much warmer it was than in Crete. And Crete is like 70 kilometers from here by the ferry, which takes, by the way, 2 to 4 hours. It depends which port you use, but it's a very long ride. So the sea is super warm. The place is remote. There are just a few, restaurants which you can use with very friendly people, with very good prices. And also what's nice here, and it lasts for Crete too, is that these places are very wild camping friendly. In Greece and Spain, everywhere the wild camping is forbidden, but Greeks don't mind it. They are totally fine with it. Sometimes they even support it. So in some villages by the coast, there are camping areas, and people are just, setting up tents there. So you can take a tent and you can camp everywhere. You can camp on every beach. Nobody will complain. I guess the people, the locals, are even happy for that, because then you spend some money there at their place for, you know, drinks and some meals. So all around the Cretan coast, on those beaches, you can see people are sleeping in the tent next to civilization, and they are sometimes campers and vans, you know, with people who are just coming there overnight and they are sleeping there, and nobody has a problem with it. When you compare this with Croatia or Spain or Italy, where you just stop your car and you will get a fine 100 euros for, you know, wild camping, which is forbidden there. Here you can, on beaches, I slept on beaches a few times. Sometimes I slept in a, how is called? Yeah, the chapels. That's actually another thing here. In Crete, there are 3,000 to 5,000 of chapels. And here in Gavdos, which is very tiny island, I think they are like 20 maybe. And they are fully open 24/7. And you can just sleep there. Or I don't know if you can, I did, but I left no trace. I didn't, you know, damage anything. Sometimes there is even a plate with coins. You can leave the coins there. So very, very nice and religious place. Once I slept in a chapel, and right in front of the door there was a grave with some famous man. So I was sleeping basically next to the grave. But it's very nice that you have these possibilities here, and nobody will be angry on you when you don't damage anything or destroy anything. And here in Gavdos, they are in some beaches, they are full of tents actually. You know, you can find even 10 tents there, and some people are living there for months. They just sleep there in their tent. And I would even say that Gavdos is like hippie island or Rasta island, because all the people, or 99% of the people on beaches, are naked. Many of them have, you know, long hair or dreadlocks, or they practicing yoga or meditating. It's like, it's really an hippie island when you walk around those people, and all of them are smiling. They say hello to you, and they are nice and kind. I was in one restaurant here, and right before I was talking with some tourists, and we had like 15 minutes talk, and they were very nice, and we were talking about nice things, and they were positive and, you know, vibing and everything. And then I was having a breakfast in the tavern next to it, and when I finished my meal, I wanted to pay, and the owner said that it's paid. And I was like, well, how? Like, I just want to pay. How it can be paid? And those guests here, those American people you were talking to, they paid for you. They paid for me. I couldn't believe my ears that somebody paid for me. You know, they said that their daughter is also hiking around the world, and they are supporting people like this. But that was so generous and so nice from them. And when I left the tavern, I just couldn't stop crying, because it was so heartwarming. And the lady who was there making the food, while she was making the food, she was singing all the time very nicely. And every conversation here, every interaction here with anyone is just like that here. People are just full of positive energy and positive vibes. That this island is a miracle. I don't understand how something like this even exists, you know. The place where you are mostly alone, the place full of absolutely gorgeous views, absolutely beautiful beaches. Most of them are empty just for you. You know, if you would have even one beach from all of these in Croatia or Italy, there would be hundreds of people. It would be full of people. Here there is nobody. And I heard even that from one local guy that some people are coming here with their laptops. They take a solar charger, and they are working here. If they have a home office, they are working here for 2 months straight, for example. So that's an option. And actually I can imagine this. I can actually imagine coming here just to chill, you know, to not hike, but to be here, to sleep on those beaches or cliffs or whatever, and just to enjoy this beauty. So I was totally blown away by this island, and just like Minorca, this is in my heart forever, and I want to come here. And not just to hike, because I basically hiked all the island. There is not much to explore for me, but there is so much good energy to absorb, you know, to just enjoy this beauty, that chill time, that peace, that love. I feel love everywhere, you know, from every person I meet. They are lovely. I just feel it in my bones, how good and beautiful energy here is. So yeah, I was totally blown away by Gavdos, and the Crete is like, I don't even remember it. I was hiking it for a few days, but it was completely covered by the experience here in Gavdos. And maybe the remoteness and the loneliness of this island is caused by the fact that it's not so easy to get here, because you have to take an airplane to Heraklion or Chania in Crete. Then you have to take at least 2 buses, which takes over 2 hours to some of the ports. I think there are 4 ports which you can use by the ferry. Then you have to take a ferry, and depends on the port, it will take you 2 or 4 hours to get to Gavdos. Actually, it's not very expensive. Some people are taking even cars to Gavdos. It's very easy on the ferry. You just pay for a card, which is like, I don't know, 30 or 40 euros. And the ticket for a person is 30 euros, so it's not that expensive. But it's several hours of traveling, so maybe that's one of the reasons why people don't go there so often. And also another reason is that this is not a civilization. This is a remote island with just a few dozens of people and few places where you can eat, and that's it. There are no fancy restaurants. Usually those are tavernas. I think those are tavernas. Yeah, there is no restaurant here, and there is no infrastructure. There are just few places where there is electricity and water. And when it comes to water, actually, that's a very important thing here in Gavdos and also in Crete, because it's so hot and so dry, and there are so few sources that you really need to take a lot of water with you, ideally 3 liters at least. So yeah, when it comes to water, you really need a lot of water in the Crete and especially in the Gavdos, because the sources are not very close to each other, and in this weather, in 30 degrees with no shade, the water is going out very quickly and you need a lot to stay hydrated. So at least 3 liters, 4 is better to have here, to carry with you all the time. I was very afraid of mosquitoes here because I didn't plan to use a tent in this weather. I like to sleep under the stars, because actually every single day here I saw a Milky Way. So many stars, you know, thousands of stars you can see, and you can see even the Milky Way. So it's very nice to sleep here under the stars. Yeah, but I was afraid about mosquitoes, because on the internet people say that there are many mosquitoes here. And the first 3 days, they were not any mosquitoes, like 0, literally 0. But the other days, there were a lot. And here in Gavdos, there is a very specific thing. Locals said that it's just this year, which is so bad, but I don't know, there are so many flies. There are all the time dozens of flies. It's like you are rotten, you know, they are flying around you, they are sitting on you all the time, all day long. It's very annoying. And if you scratch yourself, or if you, like, I'm clumsy, so I always scratch somewhere from bushes, or I'm falling down or whatever, and so I have blood all on my legs. And they love the blood. They feel it like from, I don't know, from thousands of kilometers, and they fly on your your place where you are scratched or injured, and they are sucking the blood, and that's very uncomfortable because they are sitting on shit and then they are putting that into your wounds. So the flies are very, very annoying here in Gavdos. They weren't that many in Crete. They were some, but not that many, but here they are swarms of those, and they don't leave you at all. They stop flying when it gets dark, and the moment the sun is up, they are back again, and they won't leave you at all until you get to the water. So yeah, the flies are very annoying here in Gavdos, and that's actually the only negative thing I can say about this island. But also, there are scorpions here. I couldn't see any, I wasn't looking for them, but people say that they are here. I wanted to see some, but I was just enjoying the view, so I couldn't, or I wasn't looking. There are some rare seals here. You can see dolphins around Gavdos or around Crete. You can see big turtles, which are also coming to lay eggs during during the year on some beaches. I wasn't lucky enough, or I just wasn't paying attention, so I couldn't see any. Most of the time I could see many wild goats, different shapes, different colors, different sizes. They are usually very scared and they run away very quickly. There is some rare species of cat here, which is not anywhere else. It's smaller than in our wild European cats. But and the goats, the special goats, which are present mainly in that Samaria and Gorge, and they are called Crete. You can see those there. I don't know if I saw them or other goats, because I saw white, brown, black goats, different sizes. So I don't know which are where, but the goats, there are many goats here actually. With the language, there is no problem. Everyone speaks English. I think only in one restaurant, older lady couldn't speak English, but we managed to communicate somehow. And all the people speaks English here. With food, they are very focused on local traditional Greece food, so Greek salads with a lot of cheese and with a lot of seafood. Actually, they use in most meals a lot of seafood, octopuses and fish and all those things. And it's very unfriendly for vegans, or maybe not unfriendly, but just here in Greece, and especially in this part of Greece, in Crete and Gavdos, people are very traditional. So for me, it was extremely hard to find a vegan meal. Usually they had to remove everything for me. So you will have a hard time if you are a vegan and you have to take most of the food by yourself and carry it in your backpack along a lot of water. So it will be definitely the most weight of your backpack, the water and food here. But with the food, it's not then complaint, because it's very traditional here and people are very proud of their culture and of their local meals. And the other thing is that all those meals are local. They are really trying to make everything local. So disadvantage for vegans, advantage for everyone else. On the other hand, when I was in the restaurant, they gave me, with no extra charge, big tomatoes, with me, because they knew that I will be walking for, 20 kilometers without any new source of water or food. So they just gave me big tomatoes. So yeah, that's a thing to consider. But everyone is really, just like I said, everyone is super friendly and super kind, and everyone is saying hello and smiling at you. I had zero negative encounters, or anyone who would be just, not looking happy. Everyone is looking happy. This place, for me, is a place of peace and love. Really, that's how it feels. So, to wrap it up, if you like warm places, sunny places, if you like sandy beaches and sea, and nice weather and cliffs and beautiful views, and you are not much into mountains. That's basically I just described by myself. And if you like to be alone, if you like lonely trails, this is the best place, in my opinion, which you can hike. The south part of the Crete, it was nice, it was 7 out of 10, but the Gavdos, it's 20 out of 10. The most beautiful place I have ever visited by far. Nothing is even close, you know. The second is Minorca, maybe then the Fisherman's Trail, but the Gavdos is definitely the best place I've ever visited. So I guess that's it. There is not much to say, just that I'm totally blown away by this place, and I will be very sad leaving the Gavdos tomorrow and then 2 days later to leave Crete. I will definitely come back, probably to hike that Samaria Gorge, because that's a must for everyone here, and just to come again to Gavdos with no camera gear, just to chill here and to stay on those beaches for a few days, or maybe even take a laptop and work here, because this is just awesome experience. So those were, I made 4 hikes already this year, and the last one will be traditionally for Christmas, Canary Islands, probably the Gran Canaria again, or El Hierro and La Gomera, the combo of those two. We will see, but this is a very big recommendation for you. If you are a hiker, you like these places and you like to be alone, come here to Gavdos. You will not regret it, and you will not understand how this place is so forgotten. How is possible? I still don't understand. It's so weird, because it's just so beautiful. Yeah, it makes me emotional because it's just, I don't know, the energy here is too nice. Yeah, it could be even too nice, probably. And now I'm going to dinner to some taverna here on the beach and to sleep on the beach the last night here. So see you on the end of the trail.